Hello, boys and girls. This is Ancient Greece Lesson 4 Workbook. We're going to start at the top with the main ideas. Number 1, the Greeks created myths to explain the world. Number 2, ancient Greek literature provides some of the world's greatest poems and stories. And number 3, Greek literature lives on and influences our world even today. Key terms and people. Mythology, body of stories about gods or heroes that tries to explain how the world works. Homer, author of two great epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey. Sappho, most famous lyrical poet of ancient Greece. Aesop, author of the world's most famous set of fables. Fables, short stories that offer lessons on living. So we're going to go down to the lesson summary section. And the first thing that you're going to complete is this first box on the right here. And you're going to be underlining what the Greeks believed to be caused by the gods. So underline the sentence or the part in the paragraph next to it, what the Greeks believed to be caused by the gods. Myths explain the world. Instead of science, the ancient Greeks used mythology, stories about gods or heroes, to try to explain how the world works. The Greeks believed that the gods caused natural events, from the rising of the moon to thunderstorms. Everything was attributed to the gods, from disasters to daily events. In the next section, you're going to look for the answer to the question, according to Greek mythology, which season was caused by Demeter not having her daughter? Again, according to Greek mythology, which season was caused by Demeter not having her daughter? The Greeks believed that Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, caused the seasons. Hades, the god of the underworld, kidnapped Demeter's daughter. He eventually agreed to give her daughter back for half of the year. Because of Demeter's grief, when her daughter was not with her, the plants did not grow, causing winter. Some myths told not of gods, but of heroes. Each city had its own hero, real or fictional, who would slay terrible monsters. The most famous Greek hero was Hercules. The Greeks loved to tell these stories. On the next page, ancient Greek literature. And the first question that you're going to answer is, if Homer did not exist, how do you think the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed? Again, if Homer did not exist, how do you think the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed? Greek writers produced great works of literature and the world's most famous stories. Among the earliest and most influential are the epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, by poet Homer. Scholars are not sure if Homer actually existed, but the poems are central to Greek lore and education. The Iliad tells the story of the last years of the Trojan War. The Odyssey describes the Greek hero Odysseus' long journey home after the war. In the next section, you're going to answer the question, what is lyric poetry? Other forms of literature were also popular. Lyric poetry recited by the poet while playing the lyre was especially prized. The most famous lyric poet was a woman, Sappho. Also popular were fables, or short stories that offer lessons on life. The most famous fable writer was Aesop, who may have lived around 500 BC. Aesop's fables are still commonly told today. In the next section, we're going to talk about Greek literature lives. And you're going to answer the question, Titans were large and powerful gods in Greek myth. What word in English is derived from this group of Greek gods? So you're going to look for one word. Titans were large and powerful gods in Greek myth. What word in English is derived from this group of Greek gods? Greek literature, language, and art have had great influences on modern culture. The English language contains Greek expressions. A long journey, for example, is called an Odyssey after Odysseus. Many places are named after Greek gods. Greek myths and stories have inspired painters, writers, and filmmakers for centuries. Greeks created drama or plays as part of religious ceremonies to honor their gods and heroes. Greeks also were among the first to write about history, believing people learn from the past. Only one early historian, Thucydides, tried to be neutral, not taking sides, in his historical account of war. Later, historians often modeled their work on his. Okay, on your last page here, you have 5 statements. We're going to read each question, and you're going to write an answer that is a complete sentence using at least one word from this word bank. Not all the words are going to be used, and you can use more than one word in a sentence. Number 1. What is the modern expression that refers to a person's weak spot and is based on a figure from Greek mythology? Ooh, think about that, guys. We call it something heel, and it's because this Greek person in mythology was supposedly shot with an arrow in that part of his body. So that's where this comes from. Again, what is the modern expression that refers to a person's weak spot and is based on a figure from Greek mythology? Again, you're going to write a complete sentence using at least one of these words at the top. Number 2. What was one way that Greek writers taught people important lessons about life? That was back in the reading. So what was that called? Those things that taught us important lessons about life. Which one of these words? Maybe I should go through these words real quick before I go on. So we have Achilles, Homer, Aesop, mythology, fables, neutral, Hercules, and Zeus. Okay, so again, first we have what is the modern expression that refers to a person's weak spot and is based on a figure from Greek mythology. Number 2, what was one way that Greek writers taught people important lessons about life? Number 3, how did the ancient Greeks explain weather, seasons, and natural disasters? So they talked about it earlier in the reading. How did they explain this? Which one of these words fit that? Again, make sure it's a complete sentence. Number 4, what famous Greek hero fought monsters and killed the 9-headed Hydra? Again, go back and look in the reading. And then number 5, what was special about the historical work of the Greek historian Thucydides? All right, when you are done, make sure you go back into the Google Classroom, write a private comment that you completed it on paper, make sure your name goes on your paper, and turn it in to Miss Gust, and then turn in the assignment in Google Classroom.